everyone, and welcome back to another video. So right now it has been 30 minutes since the Queendom 2 lineup got announced, and I have just finished freaking out, so I thought it would be fun to talk about it. If you don't know what Queendom is, it's basically Mnet's new survival show where a bunch of different girl groups are going to compete against each other, and if you want more details you can find another video on that. But right now I'm going to go group by group, or solo artist, and talk about my thoughts about them being in the lineup. Thanks so much for watching, and without further ado, let's get into the first group. So I'm going in the order that Mnet announced each group on their official Twitter account, and first off we have Brave Girls. And my immediate thoughts is that I think they're going to really do well in the vocal department because Minyoung is one of the best vocalists in the entire industry. However, I'm not entirely sure how they're going to do elsewhere. Brave Girls obviously have very iconic and recognizable dances, however I'm not entirely sure that Queendom is the best show to perform them on. Based on the past renditions of the show, I expect Queendom 2 to have very flashy and dramatic performances, and I'm not necessarily sure if a choreography like the one for Rollin can do that. I think Brave Girls are a group mostly focused on their vocals that are appearing on a show that is more so catered to dance, and with most of the other artists being very skilled dancers, I'm wondering if Brave Girls are going to be able to keep up. I personally am rooting so hard for Brave Girls. I think they have one of the most inspiring careers of all time, and I hope on Queendom 2 Brave Girls can have a similar arc to that of Mamamoo on the first season, but I can't help but be scared for them considering the game has evolved a lot since the first season.
Just feel the music, that's right.
Next up we have VIVIZ, which is a 3-member girl group consisting of former members of GFRIEND, and while I'm not too ecstatic that they're on this show, I'm not that mad about it either. Similar to Brave Girls, VIVIZ have a very impressive vocal line, so I'm expecting them to perform well in that regard. But what I'm unsure of is what VIVIZ is going to bring to the table musically when they only have one release. If we're going by past seasons, each group is going to have to perform one of their songs as an opener, perform a special version of one of their existing songs, and then give one of their songs to a different group for them to cover. And I'm wondering if we're just going to get 3 versions of Bop Bop on Queendom. I'm just confused because since VIVIZ only have one release, they don't have enough music to fully appear on Queendom unless they're gonna like pull out old GFRIEND songs. And if they do, I'm just gonna say it now, we need a Queendom version of Apple. But realistically speaking, I'm not sure if that's gonna be possible because with the legal involvements of Source Music, Hybe, and now their new company, are they gonna be able to do GFRIEND songs on Queendom? I don't know. And if they can't do GFRIEND songs, what's gonna happen? I know a lot of people are upset because of the idea that you need to have a legacy in order to appear on Queendom, and VIVIZ just debuted. However, I think their time in GFRIEND does sort of make up for that. My only problem is that I think there are going to be a lot of complications that I don't know how they're going to be able to cover with one mini album. They could maybe use some of their B-sides, and I wouldn't be mad about that. However, I don't think that's ever really been done on any of the previous renditions of the show besides songs that were then turned into B-sides for these groups' later releases. So I don't know, we'll see. And then I'm also wondering what's going to happen if they have to rap. That's usually one of the required skills that you need to have to appear on these shows, so I don't know what they're gonna do considering they're former GFRIEND members. So for me, I just have a lot of questions that I'm not gonna be able to have the answers to until the show starts airing, and hopefully the girls can make me wonder why I even questioned them in the first place. Anyways, moving on. So next up we have WJSN, and I'm just gonna say it right now, I have absolutely no negative thoughts about them appearing on this show. Being a girl group that has never really had their moment to truly dominate the K-pop scene, I'm excited to see what WJSN have to bring. Soobin, Yeonjung, and Dawon especially are some of the most underrated vocalists of the 3rd generation, and EXE is one of my all-time favorite K-pop rappers, so I think they might take a lot of people by surprise. I also have a lot of anticipation for WJSN considering they have one of the most interesting catalogs of title tracks out there, and I think their Queendom performances could create some of the most iconic stages we've ever seen in K-pop. Like, just imagine a Queendom version of Unnatural. Yeah. I know, right? There are just so many different possibilities, and we'll have to see what they do. I'm also really happy to see a group with a lot of members appearing on Queendom. Considering there's 10 of them right now, there's a lot of potential for very elaborate choreography, and WJSN aren't half bad dancers either, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. My biggest fear for them is that I feel like they might have a similar run to that of Lovelyz. Since their company is Starship, which also manages Monsta X and IVE, it is very obvious that WJSN are not the main moneymakers, so I'm scared that Starship won't put the time, attention, and money that WJSN need to do really well on this show. Without the proper funds to invest in things such as background dancers, sets, or props, it's going to be very easy to have extremely underwhelming performances. And I don't know if Starship are going to take the initiative to make sure that WJSN do well, or if they're just going to sort of let them fend for themselves. At the end of the day, I think WJSN have more than enough skill and talent in order to get first place, but I don't know if Starship is going to do what they need to do in order to make that happen. So Fourth, we have Loona, and to be honest, if I had to guess right now who I think is gonna win Queendom 2, it would absolutely be them. They undeniably have the biggest fandom out of all of the groups appearing, and they also have a lot of skills to make sure that they do well. I am also just absolutely ecstatic to see them on, considering all of the stuff that went on with their company last year and this year. I was sort of giving up hope, but this is a ginormous opportunity for them, and I think they have the most to gain from appearing on Queendom, so I'm excited to see what the reception of them is. From what I've heard and read, Chu is the only member who has a lot of domestic popularity, so this is a chance for the other members to get their moment to shine. But as we know, when it comes to Mnet, sometimes they treat certain members, especially members of big groups, like they just do not exist, so I don't know if that's gonna happen. But if we're just looking at the competition aspect, I don't see Loona not doing well. I just don't see a possibility where they don't do good. When it comes to dance, they are one of the most synchronized groups in all of K-pop, and their singing and rapping isn't that bad either. And when I think about all of their title tracks, I see each one being a very good Queendom performance. I say there's about a 0% chance that So What doesn't get performed at some point, and personally, I really need a butterfly stage. Just like WJSN, when it comes to choreography, I think Loona's gonna benefit from having a lot of members, and if their company isn't still broke and they can support Loona throughout Queendom, I don't see anything holding them back. To be honest, I did not want Kep1er on Queendom, but they just got confirmed, so we might as well live with it. But unfortunately, I just don't see them doing that well. Because of the produce rigging scandal, people are still wary of Mnet survival shows, and considering Kep1er were made through an Mnet survival show, I don't think there's any possibility that they're gonna win. Kep1er are definitely not unknown in Korea, but they're absolutely not as popular as any of the produce groups, so I think Mnet is putting them on this show just to get them more recognition. I think they have all of the talent necessary to do well, but the circumstances just don't make me believe that they'll actually win, and they also, just like VIVIZ, don't have much music, so I don't know what's gonna go on with that. I'm also kind of concerned because their only title track is Wadada, and since they always do a cover round on these shows, I hope that they don't give Wadada to Brave Girls. I think that should be somewhat self-explanatory, and just like VIVIZ, I'm wondering what they're gonna do for the other performances because they can't just do Mask and Wadada, like, for every single one. But yeah, overall, I think Kep1er aren't necessarily here to win, I just think they're here for exposure. Maybe I'm wrong, I'm honestly not too mad about them appearing anymore because there's just nothing I can do about it at this point. But, I don't know, I'm excited to see what they have to bring. And finally, we have Hyolyn, who used to be Hyorin in Sistar, and wow, what a dark horse pick. She is the competitor that had me jumping out of my seat when I saw that she was on, because she has a lot to bring and a lot to prove. After Sistar disbanded and Hyolyn really started focusing only on her solo career, she wasn't really able to reach the same level of fame that she had in Sistar, and I think this could be her chance to do that. Hyolyn is one of the very few true aces in K-pop, and despite only being one person, she's gonna be able to perform like a full group. There's no world where she doesn't perform Dali at some point, so I'm very excited for the Queendom version of Dali, but I also hope that songs like Say My Name and CC get their moment to shine. If you can't tell, I am a huge Hyolyn stan. She absolutely has my vote on lock, but I am somewhat scared considering she runs her own company and her last few music videos have not been very high budget, so I'm wondering how she's going to be able to find the funds to invest in really good sets. But I still will be supporting her, and if you don't know who you're going to vote for yet, consider supporting Hyolyn. And that concludes this video. Right now, these are just my initial thoughts on the lineup, so they might change later down the line, but honestly, for the most part, I'm pretty satisfied. Obviously, I do wish we could have gotten groups like Dreamcatcher or Meki on the show, but neither of them have their first win, so I understand why they're not. And I'm just excited for the first episode. Definitely let me know what you think of the final lineup, and good luck to your favorite group if they're on. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.